Welcome back to another video. My name is YOODOO and I am a stay-at-home dad currently living in the Australian countryside with my 3 kids and my wife, and I make money as a musician through streaming, live shows, and getting my songs licensed and used on TV shows, movies, and video games. And every morning I start the day by feeding the chickens grain. And this is our chicken house that we use to protect the chickens from predators like goannas and eagles, and it's getting very old, so we gotta replace it soon. And in today's video, I want to share something I like to do once every few months, and that's to drive 2 hours to have a cheap Costco slice near the city. This is something that I do every time I save up about $100 from recycling cans. I usually buy chicken food with the money I get from recycling, but every time I usually try to put aside about $5 to $10. And after a few months of recycling cans and being able to save up $100, I can have a guilt-free $100 Costco shopping spree. And I know that it might be a bit sad that I look forward and get excited to going to Costco, but these are the small things that make me happy and find joy in looking forward to every few months. So before I go on this journey, I'm going to finish off a few house chores. And one of my favorite things to do in the morning is spend time with my little girl and change her nappy. And I believe this was actually the 3rd one this morning, so it's a lot. And now I'm going to drop off my little boy at school before I embark on the 1-hour journey to Costco and 1 hour back. And one of my favorite things to do is have my one-on-one conversation with my little boy on the way to school. And because we live in the countryside, we sometimes see kangaroos, which gets us really excited, but today we didn't see any. And after dropping off my little boy at school, now I'm starting to crave my cheap $2 pizza. The best thing about the drive is that I can enjoy the scenery and also gives me time to listen to my mixes for my songs that I record that I can play back in the car speakers. And I know that this channel is a lot about how I live on a budget in the countryside, so some people might think that spending 2 hours to get to Costco and back is a waste of money and time, but I think that spending petrol to drive to Costco, even though it's about a 2-hour round trip, is still a pretty cheap way to help with my mental health. And everyone has different coping mechanisms. Some people might cope with sadness and being down in different ways, like maybe even drugs, alcohol, gambling, and other things. But I cope with my mental health with a cheap Costco pizza and a relaxing time at Costco, grazing the aisles and eating samples. And even though it might sound a bit sad, this is what I look forward to every few months. And because I've been living in Australia for the past 5 years and visit America only once every 2 years to play shows and see family and friends, whenever I miss America and home, Costco weirdly satisfies my homesickness because it reminds me of America, because the Costco store is exactly the same throughout the world. And I grew up in California where there was 3 Costcos in 3 different directions, only 20 minutes from each other, so I grew up going to Costco in America a lot. So going to Costco gives me a small dose of nostalgia and helps me a bit with feeling at home. And because filling up on petrol is usually the best at Costco, I'm going to be filling up before I go into the shop. And this is something that I do every time. And I quickly just want to say thanks to all the new subscribers. I'm almost at 10K, which is crazy just in a few months. And all the people who have been donating and supporting me on Ko-fi, it really does help me want to make more videos. And before I start walking around and shopping, I quickly go to the food court always just to check out what the food situation's like. And today it's looking pretty good. And they got meat pies. So one cool thing I noticed is that depending on the country that you're in, Costco items will be a bit different, and the meat pie is one of the examples, but also the samples are also very different in Japan and America. And the first thing I always pick up for my wife is the croissants at the bakery. I'm just gonna grab this one. Yum, one-handed, yay. And this is another item that America and Japan definitely don't have, is Vegemite scrolls. Yum. And every Costco has the rotisserie chicken, and in Australia it's $7.99 AUD, which is about $5 US, which is pretty cheap. And my favorite thing to do at Costco is called grazing, and that's when you go from sample to sample and you just grab one sample, eat, and then walk around and go to the next sample, and then you make a circuit, so you go in a circle a few times, maybe 2 or 3 times if you're really hungry, but I usually go once or twice and call it a day. When I was younger in my high school years, I would go surfing and then go to Costco every single day, and I became really good friends with a lot of the sample ladies and sample men. It really did become my second home because there was a point where they would remember my name and say, "Oh, YOODOO'S grazing," and they would always laugh and give me a bunch of food. So this is something that's surprising to me about Australian Costco, is that they give big chunks of lamb meat for samples. In Japan, they actually give a lot of fish samples, like ikura even, like fish roe eggs. But I think it's very fitting and very funny that Australia gives pieces of meat for samples. Yum. And I'm not gonna lie, it's a bit embarrassing, but I did stand next to the sample lady for 5 minutes waiting for this sample because I wanted to make sure I got one, but it was totally worth it. You guys can let me know what the best Costco sample you've had is, because I'm genuinely curious what other people have had. And here I am in the aisles again, grazing from sample to sample, and this is something that I really do enjoy, just looking at what they have and kind of slowly just picking stuff up. And I always have my go-to items, which is this small pot of kimchi. But because I want to stay under the budget of $100 when I go to Costco, I basically just buy things that we always eat as a family, because when it comes to the cost of groceries, we found that it's actually a lot cheaper to buy from Aldi and our local veggie and fruit shops for food. So the only thing I actually buy from Costco when I make the trip is novelty stuff or a bit of indulgent snacks or food that we normally wouldn't buy on our normal budget grocery runs. I think that if you have a big family that goes through a lot of food at once, it's definitely worth buying bulk at Costco because the cost would be cheaper, but because our family consists of mostly small kids and a baby, we probably won't go through the food fast enough at this time. But when our kids get older and they are in their teens, that's a whole different story. And I'm a bit scared of that time. And this is what I have so far, and yes, it's a lot of bread, but we do freeze it because we don't eat it all at once. And if you know me, you know that I love my $1 Shin Ramen, and this is 20 packs for $20. This is definitely my guilty pleasure food. I eat this at 2 a.m. in the morning sometimes, not always, but sometimes. Now that the grazing session is finished, now for the main course. And today I'm going to be grabbing a box of pizza, and a cheap slice of pepperoni pizza is $2.99, which is about $2 USD. And this is something that I do every time I go to Costco, is I go to the Onions and fill it up. And this is something that a lot of people look at me weird when I'm eating and doing this at Costco. It might look weird, but trust me, you gotta try it. Even though I get a lot of weird looks while eating my pizza topped with a stack of onions, in my years of showing other Costco patrons my special recipe, I've had a handful of people converted and saying it's really surprisingly addictive. If you're not a fan of onions, it's obviously not worth trying, but it's honestly something that I've been doing with my Costco pizza ever since I was 13 or 14 years old, and I still do through to my 30s and will still keep doing. But one thing I can say is that eating pizza alone at Costco is something I really enjoy after grazing the aisles of samples. And the one last thing that I want to say about this video is something about my experience of going to Costco alone and how it's helped me as a person, is that I was actually able to learn about being alone and happy by myself in my teens through going to Costco. Because like I said earlier, my routine of going surfing and going to Costco was something that I did every day, and I would always be doing that alone. And I remember a time in my teens when I would isolate myself and just stay at home to record all day making songs and not wanting to be social at all, but the only time I would go out is to surf and go to Costco. I know a lot of people have difficulty doing things alone because they might feel a bit awkward doing stuff alone, like even watching movies or even going to concerts or social places, but I think it's very cool to be able to just chill and have time to yourself and reflect. And for me, Costco is a place I can do that while having people around me. And everyone has different stories and different places that they feel attachments to, and this is something that I wanted to share in this video because it's something that's a very big part of my life, even though it's a bit sad saying that Costco is something that I really like. But I think over the years, realistically, it has become a home away from home for me just because of the situations that I've been in my life and finding comfort in a place that I'm able to find in Australia. And now that I've finished my pepperoni pizza with onion, I'm going to bring the rest to my wife and my kids. And today's grocery haul came out to less than $100, which is great. And yes, I know the food is not the healthiest, it's a lot of bread. Now kind of looking back on it, it's just ramen and bread and a lot of carbs, but you know, I wasn't really thinking, I was just too focused on the pizza, I guess, so yeah, I wasn't thinking. Unfortunately, I was not able to leave without getting an Aussie steak pie, and that's something that I just had to try, and it was actually really good, surprisingly. I really liked it. Thanks for watching this video, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye bye.